Welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. As you can see, oh there you go, Shaun the Sheep doing some cheeky teleporting there. But yeah, as you can see, I didn't get all of the ores. I got quite a lot of it though, and that was a really interesting time lapse to record. I hope you enjoyed it because I was a little disappointed with the way it turned out. I got some of my camera angles wrong, I felt, and I don't know, just maybe the pace of it as well, but it was really difficult to record because I had to set up a laptop in front of my two computers, and playing on the laptop was a lot more difficult. I had to use a little dinky mouse and a different keyboard, and as you saw at the end there, I fell off the first time I attempted to actually jump and get some of the ores. But yeah, it was really interesting to do, a sort of parkour mining experience, something that is a little unusual for Minecraft, but there you go. So what I plan on doing now is building the spawner. I'm not going to jump into that straight away. I've got a few more preparations to make, but the rest of these ores I'm going to get on the way back up to the top as we build this thing up. And here is what I got from the bit you saw in the time lapse. And when I was doing the ores at the top, I made sure that none of the items didn't despawn, and I may have missed a couple of bits of coal because they were actually landing on the other ore veins that were below them. But I think I got the most of it. So we got all of our most valuable ones, the diamonds. We got a little bit of lapis there as well, and there you go. So I'm going to move all of this back up to the very surface, and what I think I'll do is I'll keep that chest there and we'll fill it up with everything we get out of here as I make my way back up, and then you'll be able to see how much resources you get from a big chunk like this. I've made some preparations for building this, and before I show you that, I just wanted to show you this little tunnel that I've dug, and it basically goes all the way around the outside of all of these walls. And the reason I've done this is because this will also be the location of my strip mine. So in that corner over there where the viewing platform will be, you'll be able to access these tunnels, and eventually they'll be turned into strip mines with little tunnels leading off in all directions. And the reason I placed this here is because when we're strip mining, we're going to run into caves, mine shafts, and light up lots of dark areas. So by putting it central to the mob spawn, we're actually going to be assisting our spawn rates each time we go out and light up dark areas. So anyway, I'm going to head to the top and show you the other preparations I've made. To build this spawner, we are going to need a lot of resources, and I've been trying to get prepared as much as I can, but to build 10 layers we're going to fall a little bit short of that, so I will be taking some trips in between building to get more. Mainly redstone is the thing we fall short on, and I also plan on building more than 10 layers here. I think we'll be able to fit another 2 or 3 on top of that as well. So the main resource we're going to be using is wood, because the thing's going to be built out of wooden blocks, but as well as that, also we're going to be using wooden slabs, signs, and fence gates. They're the other ones. So all of that is made out of wood, and redstone torches is also made out of it. So that's our main resource really, and I've done the numbers in MCEdit. What I did was took the map where we tested and created the mob spawner, and I found out that we need about 12,000 wood planks, and that is an awful lot, although I did actually fill in lots of the areas that could be left hollow in between each of the layers, so there might be some wood that we don't actually need to use out of that number, but it also goes towards all the other materials that we're using, like signs and fence posts. So yeah, an awful lot of wood is needed, and in order to prepare for that, I've got tons of it already, although this is actually not a lot. I think we need 186 stacks of wood, so as you can see, that's really not a lot, and that does sound like an awful large number for the amount of stacks, but then if you look at the amount of stone and dirt and all of this that I've got out of the hole and think that we're filling it all back up, it does kind of make sense. So I think the numbers are accurate. And I've got some saplings and bones so we can make bone meal, and then that way when we're running low, which we probably will do after a couple of layers with this, we can just make some more. And I'm low on redstone, but I have made enough repeaters. We need 80 in total, and we also need 120 redstone lamps, so I've got all of those, and that took up the majority of my redstone. And also over here we need 280 sandstone slabs, so I've got those ready, and that's just for 10 layers, remember. This actually also used up the last of my sand and sandstone reserves, so at the moment I'm running very low on resources. So once this project is done, the next thing to do would be to start caving, and when we finish building the spawner and we've got it up and running, we'll actually see that the rates are quite low because I haven't touched a single cave around here yet, and that's something that I wanted to do because I wanted to be able to see the difference as we went round and caved all the spaces where mobs can spawn, and then you'll see the rates of the spawner go up over time. But anyway, I babbled on about it long enough. As you can see, I've taken my time to get prepared, and I guess the next thing to do is to show you the changes that I've made. I'm here inside the mob spawner that we built in creative mode, and there's two changes that I've made. The first of which is the ceiling. Instead of using full blocks, we're now going to use upside down half slabs, and this was suggested to me in the comments, and the reason we can use this is because mobs will then be able to walk over these half slabs. So that's going to increase the rate slightly because the zombies won't be blocked by these when they're trying to pathfind, and they'll make their way to the water quicker. And we don't have to worry about endermen spawning because of this, because they're free tools, so they can't actually spawn in here. And the other change that I've made, someone sent me a video response for this explaining that when I'd done my block light counting, I forgot that the block light level we were counting was where my head is at. So when it says 13 there, it's this block here and not the one here. So if we go over to the corner here, you'll see that it says 7 and mobs can spawn at that block light, but that's the block light here and not the one below. So we can actually remove one of these half slabs, and we can do that in all the corners, and then that means we get an extra 4 spawning spaces per layer. There's one other change that I needed to make to the mob spawner. The redstone wire on the outside allowed us to control the lights from the bottom of the system, and we didn't want that because otherwise we'd be running a redstone wire all the way down to the bottom to control it, and then the redstone would come all the way back up to the top. So what we have here is some redstone wiring that was given to us by Cube Hamster, so thanks for his help. We can now control the redstone from the top. So like before, the blocks on this side, whether they are level with the redstone like here, or if they're one block lower than the redstone, they'll still power it provided that we remove these two blocks above here. So if I go and remove the torch on this side, you'll see that all of the redstone turns off, and if I go and place it back, it all turns back on. To help me build this, I've made some layer by layer shots that I'm going to use as guidelines for building this. This first one is actually 2 layers, and you can see that I've removed all of the wood that was all full up on the inside, so we're going to save a lot by doing that. And I need to place some torches down as well when I build it so that mobs don't spawn in the dark areas in between. And then you've got the second layer over here, or the third layer, depending on how you look at it. And so using this, I think constructing it will go a lot quicker because I can just do everything one layer at a time, make sure everything's right, check it against the screenshots that I'm going to take, and then I'll get used to it very quickly, so it shouldn't take too long to build by doing this. I'm currently constructing the first layer of this mob spawner, and let's just take a quick look around. You can see put torches underneath so this area is all lit up. Some of the redstone wiring over here, and over this side I've started to build up the platform, and this is where I've run into a problem, and I'm not sure how I've actually managed to do this because I measured everything out using MC Edit, but it appears that we need to dig more on each side of these walls. So the room's wall even is like this, and then this block here should be a wood block going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks across. So I now have to dig out 6 blocks wide all the way up to the top on each side of the room, and as I said, I'm not sure how I miscalculated that because I actually counted everything out using MC Edit and made this hole the same size as the numbers it gave me. So unless that's made an error, I'm not really sure how that happened, but anyway, it means I've got to do a little bit more digging before I can continue building this. Rather than dig a big section in the side out, I thought it would be a good idea just to do the 2x6 area we need for the wood planks, and then we can do that on each layer of the mob spawner. But then I realised that we also need to put in the redstone wiring. So if we have a look over here, we need 3 blocks for the redstone wiring. We've got 1 free here, and then we need 2 on this side. So what I am actually going to have to do is dig down these 2 blocks all the way to the bottom in this corner and that one over there, and we need to do that on the opposite side of the room as well. But on these 2 sides we don't have any redstone running up and down in the corner, so we can actually go ahead and do what I did on that side on these sides. Now that I've dug all the way down to the bottom on this side, I've started putting in the redstone wiring. You can see it here, and then I realised that each time I place one of these, so I'm just going to place the next one to show you, you can see that the lights are going to turn off, and then when I place the next one here, they're going to turn back on. And once we've built a few layers of this, it means that the lights are going to be turning on and off when we're constructing this, and the last thing that we want is mobs spawning while we're building this. So what I thought I should do is actually build the redstone wiring going all the way to the top in all four corners first of all, and then we can leave it on, so when we're building this we know that the lights are going to be on throughout, and then when we get to the top and build the final layers we can sort the redstone wiring out then when we're prepared for mobs to spawn and come through the system. So I guess the next thing I'm going to be doing is digging out those strips in those three corners, or it's not a corner over there is it, but anyway, digging them out and then putting in all of the redstone wire going all the way to the very top. I fell down. I was waiting for that to happen. Yeah, it's actually a really risky building that wiring coming up, and I thought I might fall off at some point, but what I didn't think of is that it would be because there's a block above my head. And yeah, you can see where I got to. When I jumped I hit one of these blocks. Anyway, I better go get my items. Okay, I've just reached level 64 and that's used up 2 stacks of redstone now, or just under. We got 1 redstone for each torch and then 1 for each wire that we place on top of it. And this is going to deplete my redstone resources really quickly, and I think that's the one thing I've underestimated with this, is how much redstone it uses. But anyway, I put water at the bottom here so we can just jump all the way down. And now what I'm thinking is that this project isn't going to get built that quickly. My original idea was just to sort of grind it and maybe have a couple of short episodes, show you the progress that I'm making and get this thing done in about a week. But now it seems like it's going to take me a lot longer because I'm going to have to go get more redstone and other stuff as well. So I'm going to continue building these bits in the corners, but once I've done the other ones I think I'm going to be out of redstone, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I guess this this project might have to become a long-term thing rather than something I get done in a short amount of time. So it turns out that I have so little redstone left that I'm probably not even going to be able to finish another one of those redstone wiring pillars. But the other day I did go caving with Biffa and I took my silk touch pick with me, so I've got a load of redstone ore over here to mine. So I'm just going to speed this up, but I thought that we could play a little game as well. I've got no redstone in my inventory, so why don't you have a guess and see how much redstone we get. Okay, there we go, let's gather it all up. Okay, I think that's all of it. And just over 4 stacks. And I think that's enough to do 2 more pillars, so might just have enough here to do 3. After building another one of these, I can tell you that I really don't want to build any more of them. They're a bit of a pain because sometimes you fall off of them, and also they take up a ton of redstone. So I've been thinking that instead of building another 2 of these on that side over there, that I might run the redstone around the back here onto this side. And there's a downside to doing this. The plus side being that we save a ton of redstone and time. The downside being that these could be quite laggy when we activate them from the top. So if you imagine we activate one of these, it's going to turn on a lot of redstone lamps all at once, and it's going to be doing 3 every couple of ticks because the signal has to travel down through the torches, which adds a little bit of delay. So imagine that we turn on that one, loads of redstone lights are going to turn on heading all the way down to the bottom here, and these will be the last to turn on. So that could cause a lot of latency, and then if we were to wire it up round the corner here to the ones over here, it could cause even more latency because then they're turning on 6 at a time. So that's the one downside to doing this, but I guess I'm going to have to make up my mind, but I think it's quite likely that I'm just going to wire it around the corner over to this side. I've decided to wire up the redstone lamps so we control 6 of them from each of those redstone pillar things, and yeah, just thought I'd show you the wiring before I cover it up. Real simple, just send the signal around the outside here and then it powers all of the ones on this side. So I've continued building the first layer of the mob spawner, and I've gotten around to this corner over here where we have to put in the observation deck. So I've brought down some glass panes with me as well as glass blocks, and I thought this looked a lot better. And then I was just starting to work on the roof because I realised that we've got to have those upside down half slabs, so I put these wood blocks up here, and that's when I realised that those upside down half slabs are the same blocks as these ones, and you can't place redstone wire on upside down half slabs. So that means that we'd have to make each layer 6 blocks tall in order to have half slabs, then another block on top of it, which would be the ones with the wire on top. And that would mess up everything. That would mess up the redstone wiring on the outside, it would mess up the motivator as well, so we can't make a big change like that. So unfortunately we're not going to have half slab ceilings, and the mobs will just have to walk around the half slabs. Some of you may have noticed it, but if you didn't, I actually put the glass in the wrong position, so I had to break all of the other stuff and put it back down again. But now it's in the right place, and what I've done is I've made sure it's surrounded by wood all the way around. And then on the other side we're going to have a half slab floor and some stairs and stuff, but I'm probably going to do that last. I'm actually going to build up the mob spawn all the way to the top and worry about the observation part later. Okay, there we go, that's the first layer complete, and that took a really long time, a couple of hours, but now that I'm used to building it, it should be okay. Plus we had to solve a couple of problems, like with the redstone wiring and a few other things as well. So now I think it would be a good idea to place down some torches and light this place up so nothing spawns, and then start work on the second layer. I've finished building the second and also the third layer of the mob spawner now, and you can see it's starting to fill up the hole, but there's still a long way to go. But we should go take a closer look. And it took me about an hour and 45 minutes to do the next two layers, and the first one, well, that took me about 2 hours, but I also had to mess around with all of that redstone wiring going up to level 64, and I think I could have done these a little bit faster. I think I can get them done in about 40-45 minutes each, because I actually was a little unprepared. I kept having to go up and get things that I forgot, like sandstone, or I wouldn't have enough wood on me. So as I'm learning how to build this, I think it's going to get quite fast, and by the time I'm building the last few layers I'm sure I'll be doing them in about half hour each. But the reason that I had to stop building was because I've run out of resources, and the main thing I've run out of is redstone. Wood's quite easy to get, but we've actually gone through pretty much all of the wood that I had in that chest earlier in this episode, or was it the last one? I'm not too sure. And yeah, we've gone through all of that, so I'm going to have to go do some resource gathering as well. And as I've been making my way up here, I've been collecting all of the ores that are around and in the walls as well, so that chest is getting really full up, and it's going to be interesting to see how much we get by the time we get to the end. And I'm not sure why I left this here, I noticed that a while ago. So before this episode ends, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the breeding machines. Now that I've been using them a lot more, I've found out a fair bit about how to use them and what's best, and these pigs have been probably the worst ones to breed because they actually drop a lot less. They drop between 0 and 2 cooked pork chops, and that's obviously not as good as the cows, which drop between 1 and 3. And I've also noticed that the cows never seem to escape the cells, whereas the pigs do. Now I've recently replaced those full blocks down there with half slabs, and since I've done that I haven't seen any pigs escape yet, but a moment ago this was full and I harvested a lot of them, and I only got 47 cooked pork chops, and when I done a harvest for this side a while ago I got 52, so you get a lot more for the amount of cows that you store. So it's not really worth doing with pigs, but I like to do it with both animals, so I'm going to leave this thing here and still use it even though it's not the most efficient thing. But that's about it for these machines. This project's pretty much finished. It was a while ago. I just wanted to let you know what I think of them since I've been using them a lot. And also I need to replace those blocks there with glass, so that when I close the trapdoors, some pigs get caught in them and they die and take damage, and their drops fall down and fall into the lava or the water on that side. So by having glass, it just means that it's transparent, and then the pig will fall through it and won't take any extra damage. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.